And a very happy Wednesday to you at 12:08 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, people all across the state of California are starting to plan for what they want to do at the swan song of summer. Labor Day weekend is a week and a half away, but I've got a warning for you if you think you're going to Tahoe.
A South Lake Tahoe resident has tested positive for the plague.
The plague?
The plague.
Did he get it in one of the casinos?
A South Lake Tahoe resident has tested positive for the plague.
Apparently, he was walking in some tall grass and a flea bit him.
Uh-oh. You see, that's why I never leave the casinos up there. If you stay inside the casino, you don't have to worry about any problems with tall grass.
The only thing you have to worry about is secondhand smoke.
That's true. Because every square inch of those casinos smells like Lucille Ball's lungs. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, Gavin Newsom's social media accounts have been quite a thing over the last few weeks, including attacking fire victims if fire victims say that they did not receive adequate services from the state in their effort to try to rebuild. Today, Gavin Newsom's account has gone after Bed Bath & Beyond, who said that the business climate in California is such that they won't be opening up any locations here. He wasn't happy about that.
Wait, didn't they already go out of business?
Yeah, but apparently they're opening up new locations, and none of them will be here. And then he's also gone after members of the legislature in very personal terms, calling Patterson, what was he, a strange bald man or something like that?
Yes. And even more personal things about a certain member of the assembly in San Diego who shall remain nameless.
That is very true.
I like those tweets.
And he's also gotten involved in various battles to the death with randos on Twitter because he wants to show to Democratic voters that he is a fighter. There's been some memes that have popped up in recent days showing Gavin Newsom in the same pose that Donald Trump was in after he got shot in the head, only Gavin Newsom is holding up a bottle of ketchup and there's ketchup on his ear as he's surrounded by the Secret Service agents. Newsom thinks this will benefit him as he runs for president, something he swears he's not going to do. In fact, what was it that he said? That he has sub-zero interest in running for president? And so far, he has benefited from it. Gavin Newsom is now polling in first place in the Democratic primary. He is showing Democratic voters that he is willing to do or say anything to attack Donald Trump. And right now, that is a message that is resonating with these Democratic voters. Dave Weigel, formerly of Slate, had a tweet out today that kind of gives you an idea as to what the theory is behind what Gavin Newsom is doing. He said, "This is what's so interesting. Inside the Democratic Party, Newsom's decided that we're in a post-cancellation media environment. You don't say something offensive and apologize. You trigger whoever was offended and make fun of them." And that is what Gavin Newsom is doing. He thinks the guardrails are gone. There's no such thing as coloring inside the lines. And within the Democratic primary, at least, that is something that will make him stand out from the other candidates. What we know is Gavin Newsom's social media accounts are not being used by Gavin Newsom. He has a team of people that you, the taxpayers, are paying for to tweet all of this stuff. Some have said it's a team of 3. Some have said that it's larger than that. Who knows? We know he has young people operating his Twitter handles and social media accounts for him. We know that the philosophy is go out and do and say whatever it is that will rattle the cage, and then instead of hitting the brakes, just keep your foot on the gas pedal. And we also know this. Gavin Newsom doesn't even know what the children are tweeting. Because, obviously, he's not the one doing the tweeting.
Now, if there is a tweet that says GCN at the bottom, that one Gavin actually wrote.
Well, who knows if that's true? That could be parody, too. How do we know that Gavin Newsom has no clue what is being tweeted under the name Gavin Newsom, he told us, or at least he told Fox 11's Alex Michelson.
This was an interview that happened about 2 weeks ago.
What do you make of the disconnect between Gavin Newsom, the person, and how he appears on television and his social media presence? When he's on TV, he's this gentry class, San Francisco, big city winemaker. But you look at him on social media, and he's this bitchy, how should I phrase this? Every
influencer.
every post looks like it's some sort of like witty line at drag queen bingo. And it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the person that we know as governor of California. There's just a massive disconnect.
Yeah, well, it's because he's not doing those posts. I mean, he's got a team that works on those posts. I don't think Gavin Newsom, I don't even know if he gets advance warning of all of those posts before they go out. And so you've got a team that clearly has been given a green light to operate and seems to be effective at what they're trying to do, which is to get a lot of engagement and to increase his numbers there. But I don't think that that's necessarily things that he knows about. I remember one time after Roe v. Wade was overturned and the governor was doing this big press conference at Planned Parenthood, and it was when he went on his rant about where the hell is the Democratic Party. And I remember I asked him about one of his tweets that had just come out, and it was clear that he had never seen it. And so, like, I said, and he's like, who said that you did on Twitter? You know, it's like, and so I do think that his office has a lot of agency in doing some of that, but that's the danger in that.
Okay. So we know now that Gavin Newsom is not only not doing the tweeting, he has no clue what these people are tweeting on his behalf. And let me tell you something. We've seen this happen with corporations. We've seen this happen with celebrities. We've seen this happen with any number of entities. And that is when you hire people to run a social media department for whatever it is that you're doing, frequently the people who take those jobs are young people because they're the tech-savvy ones. They're the ones that have grown up with all of these websites, and the older people have not. So older people are insecure in dealing with these issues, and they're deferential to the younger people because the younger people know so much more about it than the older people. And I assume that's what's going on in Gavin Newsom's office. However, when you're doing that, particularly in politics, the keys to the kingdom are being handed over by individuals who are very young, who are very left-wing, who don't understand what's acceptable in politics, and you are allowing them to tweet on your behalf. I am willing to make a prediction right here and right now that at some point these kids are going to get him in big trouble. They are going to tweet something so reckless and so over the line that even in a world where he believes we are post-cancellation, he is going to catch all kinds of heat. And Gavin Newsom is a guy that we all know well here in California as someone who is willing to do or say anything to accumulate more power. So when they go on Twitter and they say something really far over the line, totally offensive, and you're dealing with young left-wing people, so let's just say they say something spicy about the Jews. And Gavin Newsom recognizes that that can't go out under his name. Gavin Newsom can do one of two things. He could say, it was only a joke. Oh my God, you guys have no sense of humor. Come on, get with the program. This is turned into a parody account. You can't take everything I say as literal. Or he's going to completely disassociate himself from these young kids and ruin their lives. And say, I didn't do it. They had no authorization to put that out there. I never said that. I never gave them permission to tweet that. They did that on their own, and they need to be fired because of it. And a true leader like me would never put up with staff like that who's willing to put those offensive terms out in the public domain. And unlike Donald Trump, there are consequences for bad behavior in my office. Those are the two roads that he can go down. I'm not sure which one he'll take. I'm really not. I guess it just depends on how much trouble he gets into. It was only a joke theory is something that many people subscribe to. You know where you see that? You see that a lot with lecherous old men. And you all know what I'm talking about. You go to a bar, there's the regulars, and there's a guy who's sitting at the bar who is willing to do or say anything to people he finds attractive. And typically with people like this, what happens is they say something very suggestive. They say something that is interpreted, particularly by younger people, as being offensive, and they see how far they can push it. If you're nervous and you laugh and you just don't really react much to it, they keep going. If you respond to it by saying, that's over the line, what are you thinking? Have a little class. What's the response that you get? I was only joking. God, don't you have a sense of humor? What's wrong with you? That's typically a reaction that you get from that type of person. And Gavin Newsom is a guy who I could very easily see doing that. But I could also easily see him cutting bait on them. I could also easily see him disassociating himself, his campaign, his office from all of these people. Because I am here to tell you, it is only a matter of time before this happens. Because if you are told to push the envelope and rattle the cage, and the lines move on a day-to-day basis, even if you're trying to follow the rules, you're going to violate them. If you're purposely trying to break the rules because those were your instructions, what happens is you have to keep upping the ante. So right now they're getting all kinds of play. Every time they say something outrageous, there's a segment on Fox.
It's really working in their favor.
There's a segment on Newsmax. And now it is because his poll numbers are going up with Democrats. Because the more that Fox hates him, the more the Democrats like him. That's the strategy here. And it's working out for him. But the problem is, at a certain point, you become white noise. All of these tweets attacking Bed Bath & Beyond or the fire victims or the members of the legislature, that'll get old after a while. And at a certain point, you just have to up the ante to generate the attention that you want. If you want to become a news story, you have to do or say something that is deemed to be newsworthy. And if you're just producing more of the same, that's not going to do the trick. So if they continue to insult random assembly people that no one in Fox News has ever heard of, after the second or third time you've done it, they just stop paying attention. After you've attacked Spencer Pratt, who is one of the fire victims, repeatedly, and Fox has done their stories on that, they're going to stop paying attention because they've done that story. They've done Newsom attacking Pratt and Pratt responding to Newsom. So now you're just going to have to find random people whose homes have burned down. And you're going to have to really kick them in the crotch. That's what you have to do to keep this going. And that's what they're addicted to now. You could tell because they're tweeting not only on behalf of Gavin Newsom, they're tweeting on behalf of themselves, and they're very proud of themselves for generating all of this attention. They're addicted to it. And when you become addicted to something like this, you don't want to be treated as if you are irrelevant. You don't want to be treated as someone who's lost their edge. You have to keep it going. This story is going to end with a crash and burn. I've seen it happen a million times before. This is not something that is new. The only question is when. I'm curious to get your thoughts on all of this at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think the kids at Newsom's office recklessness will eventually do him in? I think it's benefiting Gavin greatly now, but at a certain point, it's going to be his biggest problem, maybe even his Achilles heel. What say you at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222? If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Listener Mark writes in, it's been a while.
Okay.
Mark writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com on Newsom trolling Trump and MAGA. Hey, John, just knowing that you bringing attention to this matter and being bothered by it shows that Newsom is on the right track. This is funny as hell.
It doesn't bother me. I mean, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's ignoring the needs of the state of California, but he's been doing that ever since he got elected. What he's doing, I believe, is helping himself in the short term, but he's going to harm himself in the long term. That being said, he has certainly established himself as the douchebag the Democrats deserve.
Can you say that?
I think so.
All right, I'll let it slide. But if Lewis calls me during the break, it's on you.
All right, Randy, if you want to go back and listen to that podcast with Alex Michelson that we played earlier, that's easy to do.
That's what I had to do because Johnny texted me 10 minutes before the show. Can you pull this interview I had with Alex last week? And it was really 2 weeks ago, and I was on vacation. But I downloaded it by searching for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. I did it, and so can you.
How long do you think it'll be before the children in Gavin's office get him in trouble on social media? Let's go to Gino in Newark. Gino, hello.
Hey, John, how you doing? I love your show.
Thank you.
First-time caller. Basically, I wanted to tell you, my job, I go canvassing in neighborhoods, trying to find these old vehicles with the airbag recalls and get them fixed and such. So I go all over the Bay Area, and I was in, Richmond the other day, and I was driving down this main street, and I saw a bunch of people in the distance. There was 50 of them, and they had signs and stuff. And I rolled down my window, and they're playing music like "Give Peace a Chance," by John Lennon. All we are saying is "Give peace a chance," right? And then the next song was "Revolution," talk about a revolution. So they obviously like the Beatles, right? And looking at them, they're probably at least over 70 years old, and they're all white elderly ladies, right? And so I got close enough to look at their signs. All their signs were saying "F Trump" and "No kings" and all this stuff. And it's just like, wow, I thought you wanted to give peace a chance, and yet you're doing this, right? I just thought it was hilarious, the Trump derangement system that's going on around the Bay Area here. It's crazy.
Well, that's the crowd that Newsom's trying to appeal to. And if you look at the pickle that he's in that Democratic primary, he's got some real problems in the sense that he can't run on the California success story. So that's just taken off because he wasn't successful here in California. But the bigger problem that he has is Gavin is known for making grand proclamations and not following through. He's the guy who, after Arizona decided that they were going to make abortion illegal, went on TV and spent a bunch of money promoting himself, saying that if abortion providers from Arizona want to come to California, he will make sure they can provide abortions in California to people who live in Arizona. And he was going to make sure that they had whatever facilities they needed, and he was going to move heaven and earth to make it happen. And then he just kind of moved on to the next thing. You know how many abortions actually were performed in California from Nevada or Arizona providers? 0. After George Floyd, he went out and said California was going to be the first state to provide reparations to blacks, and he was going to insist that it happens. Well, he moved forward with it. He found out it would bankrupt the state, And what he has done is he just punts and says, okay, we need to study it some more. And then they produce the report and he goes, okay, we need to study it some more. 0 reparations have been paid. Gavin Newsom is big on the promises. He's big on creating attention for whatever his initiatives are. And then there's no follow through. When he goes on the stage with an AOC or some other candidate who has legit left-wing credentials, and they say, wait a minute, you promised this on abortion and you didn't deliver. You promised this on reparations and you didn't deliver. You promised this over here and that over there, and none of it happened. You're an inauthentic flake. That's going to be the knock on him. And he knows that. Totally. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to say, okay, I don't have the left carved out. I can't get there because I have a record as governor of California. What I can do is I can be the most aggressive attack dog on social media, and I can be the most aggressive partisan. And he can remake himself as that. And that's what he thinks his winning hand of cards is, because if they pin him down on stage over all of his proclamations and lack of follow-through, he's done.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is what I hope for, John, is that his thing about redistricting the maps and stuff. I hope that fails. I hope the people of California realize how stupid that is, how much money it's going to cost you, the taxpayers, to do that. And then I hope for Rick Caruso to become governor, and then Newsom will fade in the distance. He'll fade in the west. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, thank you for the call, sir. I would remind everyone, his audience is not people like me. His audience are Democratic primary voters, specifically primary voters in those states, although they haven't come up with their calendar yet. But whatever states vote first, that's his audience. Those are the people that he's appealing to right now. Those are the people that he's talking to right now. Let's go to Ken in Studio City. Ken, hello. Ken, are you there?
Thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 2 quick comments and a question. First of all, you've altered my hi, Randy. I forgot Randy.
Hi, Ken.
You altered my opinion of Newsom, and I appreciate it. You said that he's a chameleon, and I didn't really appreciate how much of a chameleon he is. I just thought he was Machiavellian, but still, I think in the cold, dark void of where a brain is supposed to be, he's still a liberal. The second comment I want to make is what you said earlier. It's a sad commentary if tweeting is going to be his Achilles heel. I think that it should be all of the things that he's done to create this state a dumpster fire. For instance, I mean, just the visual of him a few years ago standing on the train tracks in L.A. that was scattered with boxes and trash and merchandise, and he was doing a photo op, which was so bizarre there. And he says, this looks like a darn, he didn't use darn, this looks like a darn third world country. I mean, this is his third world country. And then I'll close with my question to you. You said that his young warriors who are tweeting all of this are going to get him in trouble, but I'm not sure with who. The right already knows who he is and hates him. Who are they really going to who are they going to affect that's going to get Gavin in trouble?
Well, it depends on who they go after, and it depends on what they say. If there are no guardrails, if there are no rules, eventually you will do or say something that will offend your own people. And I want to go back to the first point you made, where you said that you think that Gavin Newsom is a liberal. I don't think Gavin Newsom has any personal politics at all. Gavin Newsom is all about the personal accumulation of power and the craving of attention. That's what's driving him. At various points in his career, he's been the conservative candidate in the race or the liberal candidate in the race. It doesn't matter. He takes whatever lane he thinks will get him to where he needs to go. I'm willing to bet money that if Gavin Newsom had been raised in Arizona and his dad was the attorney for the Goldwater family instead of the Gettys or whatever rich family exists in Arizona, he would be the Republican governor of Arizona, and he'd be trying to become president right now, too. He's just one of these people who wants to be in the room when the decisions are made. He wants to be the guy who is at the top of the pyramid. Look at the women that he's picked. Kimberly Guilfoyle was his first wife. She was a big-time prosecutor in San Francisco, a good-looking woman. She had the case when the pit bulls mauled the lady. The pit bulls that belonged to the white supremacists, and there was a woman who was walking, and she got mauled by the pit bulls. And that was back when Nancy Grace and Court TV and all of that was a big thing. And Kimberly Guilfoyle became a massive celebrity. She became a massive star out of that. And in many ways, she has the same motivations as him. I mean, she moved on from him to Donald Trump Jr. He moved on from her to an actress from a rich family. This guy is making whatever moves he has to make to put himself in a position to take the next step up that ladder because he's looking for the brass ring. He wants to be president more than anything else in his life. Think about when he was telling us how Joe Biden was putting on master classes in politics when everyone knew Joe Biden was senile. Everyone knew that guy had lost it, including the grand poobahs within the Democratic Party, people like Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama. But Gavin Newsom was willing to go on TV because he thought that Biden was going to survive it and Biden could potentially do something for him in the future. And he was out there saying things and doing things that everyone, including him, knew weren't true. Even people on his own side knew weren't true. But sticking with the storyline and not breaking character was important for him personally because he couldn't be president that cycle if Joe Biden was going to stick around. And if he decided that Biden was going to stick around, okay, you then have to play for 2028 or beyond. And that's what he was doing with that. This guy is dangerous. People who believe in nothing except their own personal accumulation of power are willing to do anything for it. Right now, where we're in a strange place, is that's appealing to Democratic voters. Democratic voters hate the fact that they lost to Donald Trump. They hate the fact that Grampy Joe put them in a bad position. They hate the fact that Kamala Harris was such an awful candidate. They hate the fact that they lost the election. And they are willing to do anything to win. Usually people who believe in nothing but themselves and their own power, they have to hide that from you. They have to make it seem like they have these altruistic ideas. They have these altruistic motivations. But right now, naturally, the stars have aligned for Gavin Newsom, naturally, where his own personal ambition and accumulation of power, lust for power, is right now in the same place where the Democratic Party voters are. They just want someone who's willing to do anything to win, and he is willing to do anything to win. So right now, they're symbiotic. Thank you for the call, sir. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Right now, we're taking your calls at 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Let's begin with Patrick in Lawndale. Patrick, hello.
Hey, John. Hey, Randy.
Hi there.
So, everything's just inundating with Gavin Newsom lately. The news feeds I read, you're running stories on him a couple days in a row. He's getting way too much attention for what a POS he really is. He's a failure in this state in every metric, so that'll blow up in his face when it comes to primary time. But putting any kind of win in his sails, I think, is counterproductive. He's just not worth it.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Richard in Mount Shasta. Richard, hello.
Good afternoon. The communication director for Newsom, his name is Garden. He looks It's an article on Breitbart. Now it's on the right side because it's a little old from this morning. He looks to be about 23, 24. And the object of the news article was that he's endangering the $40 billion that California needs by calling the president names and so on. So it's already occurred. He's thrown down the gauntlet to the president, and you can't expect President Trump, who does like his ego massaged, like everybody, all politicians do anyway. You can't call him names and have him respond positively to you. So it's already occurred, and that's in Breitbart, the front page on the right side. Everybody should read it. The guy is real young, this communications director for Newsom. He's not any older than 23, 26, and as ignorant as they come.
Here's what you got to understand, though. Not only am I not the audience for Gavin Newsom right now, and it sounds like you're not the audience, California is not the audience for Gavin Newsom. So if Gavin Newsom irritates Trump and Trump cuts off funding for the bullet train or Trump cuts off funding for fill in the blank, and Gavin can play the victim and then say that he's standing up to Trump and being punished for it, from his point of view, that will make him look like a fighter to the Democratic voters in Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina and Nevada. Just like with the redrawing of the congressional lines. If it hurts California, he doesn't care. What he is doing right now is meant for the national audience, and he has already moved on from us. He may still be the governor until 2026 or January of 2027, but he has moved on already. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Mark in San Diego. Mark, hello.
Hey, John. Can I give props to your bumper music guy? Because it's great.
Oh, that would be Randy.
I literally just play this YouTube playlist called Country Hot List, so it's nothing special, but enjoy it. I try to put as little effort as I can because I'm busy doing 10,000 other things.
Well, you're doing a great job. Gavin's only going to go up. His cachet, what he wants his cachet to be, is only going up because the far left is running the narrative in mainstream media. Anyone who hates Trump more than the next is getting a podium and a sculpture made for them and ready to go. He's not going to fall until he runs into someone who sees him as a threat from the far left. And then he's going to fall bad because he's terrible at debate and he has a terrible record. So look at his debate against the governor of Florida. He had to get the hook from his wife and get him off stage because he's awful. And once he runs against someone else who's powerful in that party, that's when he's going to fall. And it could be a long time. That's just my opinion on it.
Well, he's going to move to the left in that primary, and he's going to have AOC or someone like that on stage with them who's going to say, okay, you're saying all of these things now. You've been governor for 2 terms. Why didn't you do any of it? And they're going to call him a racist.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could just look at his record and what he promised for San Francisco and how San Francisco turned out. I mean, that's what Governor DeSantis did. He just brought out the poop map and said, okay, you look like an idiot now. I mean, anyone watching that debate, anybody on the left could say, no, you haven't fixed, especially the Bay Area where you were focused. You haven't fixed it. You haven't done anything that you said you were going to do.
Thank you for the call, sir.